guys, it's Jenna. In today's video, we are going to be rating some new Sephora makeup. So let's dive right on into it. I do have my first product here that is very hyped up. This is from Sol de Janeiro. They actually came out with 3 body mists that are different scents. And I took a look at the scent profiles. This was the only one to me that seemed to fit my preferences or had any chance of really working for me. This is the Cheirosa Sea and Soul. This is Juicy Citrus and Ocean Musk that is supposed to be the notes. The other 2 are quite warm and quite floral, which is why I was like, no, I think I'm going to try this one. I do in the summer tend to lean more towards citrusy, fresh scents, and I really love those in the scent profile. But this is one that surprised me. It's very sweet. Like, that's not really my particular preference when it comes to scent. Like, we're talking about something very potently sweet, almost like Prada candy. Like, that perfume is just like a sweet note right in your face. This is one that's similar. And I was sort of thinking like citrusy and fresh. I was more so thinking about the perfumes I really like, which is probably just selling this product short because that's not necessarily what this could have been. But after testing it, it reminds me of like, no hate, hopefully no hate to them, but just trying to be honest here, this sort of reminds me of like a body mist from Victoria's Secret. It reminds me of my younger self, which is why I sort of think of it as more of a younger generation fragrance because of just how potently sweet it is. However, that doesn't mean that it's not meant for other people. I just think that this is one for my preferences and my experience. Reminds me of body scents I used to like spritz the heck out of my body with that were sweet and sort of juvenile in nature. This is also one that doesn't really last on my skin either. So the best way to use this is when your skin is obviously hydrated, and right out of the shower is probably perfect. But I do find that because of how sweet this one is, I've noticed that I'm not really using it too much because I prefer less sweet fragrances overall. This one I am going to rate 6 out of 10 because it's not like it's bad per se, right? It's not a bad product, but it's one that is very sweet, so my preference is not a big fan, and the lasting power is not great. So 6 out of 10 for this one. Let's talk about a setting spray from Gucci. I did promise you guys I was going to be reviewing this one. This is the Gucci Glow Hydrating Mist. This is Prep, Set, Refresh. So this is a trifecta when it comes to the uses of this one. You can either prep the skin with it and make sure it's nice and hydrated, moisturized, plumped, ready to go for makeup. You can also set your makeup with it, or you can refresh your skin if your skin's feeling kind of dry throughout the day. Now, this is one that has a little bit of an oily ingredient in it, which is why you have to mix it. So it's important to shake it before you use it. I really like the gold rimming along the edge of this product. I think it's a beautiful touch to the Gucci brand. They're very good at packaging, and that's what I like because it is a luxurious price tag. We are paying for a bit of an experience overall. Besides a great product, we're wanting the packaging to match. Now, this is sort of like a frosted glass base that has a little bit of a rose kind of tint to it. I'm hoping that the camera can pick it up because it's so beautiful in the packaging itself. Make sure that you are shaking it though, because it is a product that has an oily ingredient in it that can separate when it is laid at rest. Now, let's talk about the fragrance. The fragrance is potent here. It reminds me of all of the Gucci makeup. I even feel like the lipsticks have a slight floral scent. The scent seems to be more prominent than the other makeup products that are in the line, and I think it's just because it's concentrated in this spray. If you're aversive to scent, this is significant. However, it doesn't waft off the skin throughout the day, and I've noticed that it doesn't irritate my skin. This one I would say does a great job with providing a really nice glow. It does set the makeup beautifully. It does seem to refresh very beautifully as well. I love the mister on this. It's very fine. Reminds me a little bit of the Glow Recipe Watermelon Mist Spritzer because that one is very fine as well. This one's a little bit thicker than that one, but it's still really gorgeous. So I actually like this one. The only thing is that it is a little bit oily in nature. So if you are oily in skin type, I would stay away from this one. There are other glow sprays on the market that don't seem to have that oily residue. If you are on the dry side, you will like it. If you are normal like myself, I think it'll also be a good fit. Just stay more so on the light side for when you apply it. This one is ranked 8 out of 10 because it's amazing, but it's very, very fragranced, and there's that oily component to it that may not mesh well with some skin types. I want to talk about this new blush tint from Yves Saint Laurent. This is the new blush tint. This is in the shade New Pinch. So it is, I think, like the peachy pink shade of this one. And this is one that's actually quite thick when it comes to consistency. It sort of threw me off. I was kind of expecting more of a lighter, more, I guess, fluid consistency, but it's actually quite creamy and balmy, but it's also incredibly thick as well. This is called the Lip and Cheek Balmy Tint. I have used it on the lips, but I have found that it's best on cheeks because it does have like that blush quality to it. It's definitely a dual-ended product. I actually prefer this over the Chanel Lip and Cheek, which I talked about in a fails video not that long ago. This is a lovely one, but keep in mind this one actually blends down very sheer. When it actually applies on the skin, it's very pigmented, but then as you blend it out and it sets, it does sort of sheer down almost 50%. So that is something interesting. It is definitely more of a tint, and it's more of a buildable product if you want more pigment behind it. I like to use this more so for a natural no makeup day or something like that. It's not necessarily like a pigment forward blush. So I really do like how this is sort of like that more effortless look overall. The consistency of the formula is a little bit hard to get used to because of how thick it is. So I just actually apply it on the back of the hand and I sort of like massage it in like this, and then I take my brush and apply it to the cheeks because otherwise it can be quite chunky and sort of drag on the skin. This one I would actually rank as 7 out of 10 because it's a really nice product, but I do think that for those of us that want their blush to stay, the fact that this sets down and sort of shears out could be a little bit of a disappointment. But if you do like that no makeup look, you're going to love this one. I really do like how it's got a gorgeous like springy color as well. It's perfect for spring, summer. Now, speaking of Gucci, I want to talk about their lip balm, which is also one I've been testing out lately. This is the Gucci Balm, oh gosh, let's just say it in English. Multi-use balm, hydrating and nourishing. This reminds me of a thinner version of Blistex. That's kind of the impression that I get. Hopefully that doesn't disappoint a lot of you guys because Blistex is incredibly affordable. But what I do love about this one is the packaging. I love that it's very vintagey. You guys can kind of see it looks really classic. It has a very weighty in the hand gold packaging as well. And when you actually open it up, there's a small mirror there too. So this is the balm itself. It's very thin. So unlike Blistex, Blistex to me is very nourishing on the lips, but it's thicker. This is one that is thin and provides very similar hydrating, moisturizing benefits. So the formulation is similar, but it's a very thin version in my opinion. This one, unlike the spray, doesn't have any scent, which is nice for those of us that want to avoid that entirely. So that's a really lovely one. Now, do I think you need it? You know, it's a lovely balm, but it's not one that I would say like stands out in the industry as an absolute must-have because we have some cheaper alternatives like Blistex that is very similar, just a lot thicker in consistency. I would rate this one 7 out of 10 as well because even though I'm going to enjoy it, I wouldn't say it's like a standout in the market. And because it's Gucci, it's a little bit on the pricier side. So it's just a really beautiful Gucci lip balm that you will enjoy, but not really necessarily a need. We do have a couple Dior products in this rating today, so I'm really excited to talk first about the OnSet Brow from Dior Beauty. This is one of their newest products. It's actually a brow gel, and this is one that I've actually put through my brows today. I actually really like the pigment consistency of this. It's really nice and opaque, and the brush is nice as well. The only thing I will say is that this one is a little bit stiffer in nature and seems to set very quickly. So it's one that you kind of brush through the hairs and it's already setting as you're brushing. So it's very, very fast when it comes to that. This is a cool tone brown that I picked up. The shade is called 032, and I figured that was like the closest to like my natural brow that I could get. It is a lovely one on the go, but I'm not necessarily certain yet that it's like one of my favorite brow tints in the world. I really, really like the Benefit Gimme Brow in comparison because I feel like it gives you a little bit of a set time. Like you can apply it and it remains tacky for a bit, so you can kind of brush it out, make sure it doesn't kind of clump brow hairs together or anything. This is one that isn't as forgiving. And I do think that for adding some, color and obviously putting the brow hairs in place. It does a great job, but that fast setting time is a big deal. So I'm gonna rate this one 8 out of 10 from Dior. This is a lovely one, but just pay attention to where you're applying it. It will dry quickly on you. This next one is a sunscreen from Summer Fridays. It is the ShadeDrops Broad Spectrum SPF 30 Mineral Milk Sunscreen. This is one that surprised me right off the hop. For some reason, when it was named ShadeDrops, for some reason I thought it was a tint. It's actually not a tint at all. It's just a sunscreen. I thought it was going to even out my complexion a bit, and I was like, why isn't it doing that? It doesn't even claim to do that in the description, by the way. It's just the name threw me off with the word ShadeDrops. But obviously it doesn't mean that because it's not a tint whatsoever. But that being said, it's still a lovely sunscreen. I'm very, very impressed with this one. This has zinc oxide as its active sunscreen ingredient, so it is a mineral sunscreen, a physical sunscreen for those that want to avoid chemical. It doesn't break me out at all, which I really like, and it actually provides a really nice glow because of the consistency of it. It's very milky, so it's runny. So just keep that in mind. You don't want to go really quick with this one. But it has a dropper applicator like this, and you just place them in your hands and then apply. It's very liquidy, so it sinks into the skin very quickly, provides a really nice glow, and to me, it's just a lovely one. Like, I'm actually pretty impressed with this. I do think it's going to make those of us use sunscreen a lot easier, because it's just a really easy to apply product, and it's fast, and it doesn't, stay tacky on the skin or anything. It's just this perfect glow that has that protection behind it, which I love. I've actually applied this under makeup, and I've also used it on its own, and both do a great job. I do tend to layer it a little bit thinner underneath makeup because it does provide intense hydration. I don't have a dry skin type, so a little bit too much hydration can sort of make me look a little greasy if I keep it very, very heavy under the skin under makeup. But this by itself is lovely too. So I love the protection, obviously, that it gives. I love the fact that it's zinc oxide, because even though I do okay on both physical and chemical sunscreens, I know there's a lot of you guys that steer away from chemical sunscreens because they break you out. This one doesn't have that. So this is actually a 10 out of 10 from Summer Fridays. It is their ShadeDrops sunscreen. This is not at Sephora at all, but I had to share this with you because this surprised me so much. I think it's going to surprise you guys too. This is from Pat McGrath. This is the Divine Skin Rose Essence. Okay, you can see the interesting packaging of this one. It's very like light rose on the bottom, and then you're supposed to shake it like this. And then it kind of puts the milkiness with that serum together, and then you have this kind of milky consistency in the bottle. The bottle is very heavy in the hand, extremely luxurious in my opinion. I feel like Pat McGrath will sometimes do crappier packaging or not as exciting, and then some really luxurious stuff. And for the price tag of this, I was like, she better be good. Like, she better be glass, okay? Because this is pricey for an essence, especially with a concept such as skincare from Pat McGrath that actually was unproven at the time. This is her very first skincare product, or meant to be a primer or a base, something like that, before makeup. I've seen her use this on celebrities before she puts her makeup on them, so I used it as a primer, and I've also used it as skincare. Keep in mind, this is rose essence, so scent is very powerful. It reminds me of, like, it's rose, but it has a sweet element to it. So it's a sweet rose scent. Obviously not as sweet as this bad boy here. This is like candy, like pure sugar. When I smell it, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's very strong. This one is actually very pleasant on the nose. Rose mixed with a little bit of sweetness, and that's the only downside with this one. Because of the fragrance, it could potentially react to you if you do not like rose in your skincare. If you don't mind it, this is actually kind of nice. It's very weird. Like, I wasn't expecting this, but I was like, what? This is actually kind of like a toner style when it comes to applying it. It's actually like, you can see the opening there. It's like a dropper, and you just place them in your hand and then press into the skin. Actually gives a really nice glow, offers a nice hydrating piece as well. Keep in mind, one layer is enough. If you start over applying it, it becomes a little bit slippery. So one layer, good, that's all you need. And it does offer that really nice luminosity. I use it more so as a primer because when it comes to skincare, I really try to stay away from fragrance stuff all the time. So this is definitely not an essence I use on a regular basis, but when I do prep my skin with it, it's actually kind of nice. I don't know, especially with her foundation, it's like a match in heaven. I just can't explain it. I'm gonna give this one a 9 out of 10 because there is definitely a scent component that is quite strong, but it is pleasant, if that makes sense. Doesn't waft off the skin at all, and there is a little bit of an upper limit. One layer is enough to get that desired result unless you're incredibly dry. Pretty high when it comes to rating, but this one really surprised me, not gonna lie. I want to talk about the Westman Atelier powders. These are actually brand new. We have the Vital Pressed Skincare Powder. I have two shades here. One is called Pink Bubble, which is supposed to actually brighten the skin. And I also have one called Translucent, which is supposed to be good for all skin tones. A very cute little compact. It is very, very luxurious in the hand. Westman Atelier kills it with packaging, and I'm really glad she does because it's pricey. So I really love that. This one is translucent and very thin when it comes to consistency, and I really love using it to set my makeup because it actually feels like air. It feels like nothing. It doesn't feel heavy on the skin. It doesn't emphasize anything. It just perfectly sets your skin with that perfect natural finish, which I really love. When it comes to Pink Bubble, this is supposed to be the brightening one. I actually put it under the eyes and sort of like in this area when I press. I also put a little bit on my forehead, a little bit on my nose, just to brighten a little bit. And I actually really love this as well. I do think this may be less product overall compared to other all over face products on the market. So that's kind of the only downside with this one. There's no scent off of this as well, which I appreciate. And we do have a cute little mirror on each of them. But if you're familiar with Westman Atelier with that like orb packaging, this is the exact same. It's super, super gorgeous. So I actually would recommend this powder. I think it actually does a great job. Even touching up throughout the day, you can just press a little bit more and it still feels like nothing. I like this one. I really do. Westman Atelier kills it. Oh, I think she's great. This is actually 9 out of 10, only because the size of it is really small. Otherwise, it would be a perfect 10. I haven't been hearing too much about this online, so I figured I would talk about these. Urban Decay has come out with 3 mini palettes. I actually picked up all 3 of them to review. Now, I'm very familiar with the Naked formula when it comes to the eyeshadows, especially in those larger pan palettes they come out with, but this is one that's actually like mini, so they're smaller. They're only 6 pan, but I have never seen a more opaque formulation from an Urban Decay product consistently in my life. So strange. This one has a lot more potency behind it. I feel like some of these glitters are amazing. We do have some glitters that are great in their other palettes, but this one is consistently, every single shade is opaque. It is beautiful. It's strong. The color story goes very well together. You can see this is a perfect like copper or, you know, more off-white yellow kind of look you can put together with this one. This one's called Half Baked. I'm actually wearing Foxy today, which is the next palette. I've actually just used one shade, which is this one. This is called Get Down. I use this one all over the lid with a little bit of hot stuff in the center. So that's all you need. But I have found a little bit of fallout with these, just a tad, but the opacity, the pigment, it feels stronger than a typical Urban Decay formulation. The biggest impact I see is with the mattes in particular. The mattes just seem to be very opaque. They're obviously still very easy to blend out, but the pigment is much more forward than a typical Urban Decay. I don't know why. Some of the Naked palettes I have seen are the mattes are almost softer, a little bit on the chalkier side, and that was sort of what I'd come to expect from an Urban Decay eyeshadow that's a matte. But this one seems to be stronger in pigment overall and consistently throughout all the minis. This one is called Sin. I can see this one being a big hit amongst a lot of you because it's very wearable. It's got those gorgeous pinky tones. I'm actually really impressed with this one. I feel very shocked and I feel like these are very underrated, like as a whole. They're very opaque. They seem to take the Urban Decay formulation up a little bit, like up a notch. I think it's really nice for travel. They're actually plastic packaging and very easy to secure. So I'm impressed. The fact that people are not talking about these more, it's insane. I would rate these 9.5 out of 10. We have a little bit of some fallout happening with some of these shades, but I'm really impressed with this new formula or enhanced formula of some kind. They did a great job. Next, I wanted to update you guys on the Dior lip stain. This is actually in the shade 251 Natural Peach. I actually really like this stain. I have been testing it next to the Fenty Beauty new one, so I will talk about that one as well. When it comes to this product versus the Fenty one, they are so similar. What I do with lip stains is I will put a lip stain on first and then apply gloss over top or a lipstick or whatever. I rarely wear a lip stain by itself. I'm just not a fan of how it looks bare, regardless of the formula, regardless of the color. It just seems to look like, you know, because it's so thin, the imperfections of my lips sort of pop through a little bit. So they're kind of like light to medium consistency, both of them. And when they set down, of course they stain, but it's not quite opaque anymore, if that makes sense. So that's why I typically layer this. I'll put this underneath something to give the overall lip look more longevity. So this is the Fenty one that just came out recently. It's called My Type, but My is spelled like Mai Tai, which is kind of cute. This is one that's very similar as well. It's actually a vibrant pink. In shade, it's a bit different. When it comes to some product differences, we have like a very bent doe foot when it comes to the Fenty. We also have, for the Dior one is actually a straight doe foot. Doesn't have any bend at all. Dior offers you 5 milliliters of product. This one is 6.5 milliliters, so it's actually more. Like, they're very close when it comes to consistency. The Dior one has a teeny bit more of a milky component. It's a little bit smoother than the Fenty, but like splitting hairs. Like very similar. The Fenty has a little bit more drag, very slight though. So we're talking about, you know, splitting hairs. If you want to do like the more budget-friendly option, you'll be totally happy with the Fenty. So Dior is on the left and Fenty on the right. You can see they are beautiful, both beautiful summer colors. They are not this vibrant when they set down. You can expect about the opacity to kind of diminish from a medium to a light when they fully set, but it's very even. It wears down perfectly for both of them. I do feel like they do a great job. When I was testing them, of course, I was testing them by themselves as well to see just how they would do by themselves. This one is not as smooth as the Dior, but this one actually lasts, I would say, another hour or two over the Dior overall. So Fenty has more lasting power by a little bit. This one has more smoothness when it comes to application. It has more slip and actually feels softer on the lips when you apply. So both I would rate 9 out of 10, but it really depends on which one you value more when it comes to longevity or formulation on how it feels on the lips. This one has more product. I love the packaging of the Dior one more, so it's kind of like, which one do you prefer? The formulation is smoother on the Dior, the packaging is better on the Dior, less product. More product, not as strong of packaging, still cute, but not as strong, and the formulation is thicker, but the longevity is there. So both 9 out of 10, depends on what you prefer, but both are lovely lip stains for the summer. Editing Jena here, realizing I did not film an outro for this video. My lips are still super sore, so I'm not gonna talk too long, but I hope you guys really enjoyed the rating new Sephora makeup. More to come soon if you like this rating style, and I will talk to you so soon. I'm gonna do a quick little glance over at Harv too, because I know you wanna see him. Hi, Angel. You say bye to our friends. Bye, see you next time.